Hey friends, tell me if you can relate. Have you ever had a phone call that started with, I only want to sell my house?
If you've ever wondered what's really going on behind the scenes in a real estate transaction, you're in the right place. Whether it's the nail-biting negotiations, the crazy twists and turns throughout a transaction, or the moments that just make you want to pull your hair out, it's all going to be shared. I'm Brittney Frye, and I am the host of the Closing Chapters podcast. Here, we are going to talk about my career transaction by transaction since 2016. And we're also going to go through all of the golden nuggets that I've learned along the way that I would love to share with you. I want to shape your reality in real estate to a world that you can be confident, educated, and make really wonderful decisions for your financial future and build a real estate portfolio. No matter if you are a real estate investor, a first-time home buyer, or a luxury buyer, there's something to be had in this podcast. You're going to see it throughout the series that military is really my heart. That is my niche, and if you are a military buyer or seller, you will thrive listening to this podcast. So grab a seat at the closing table and let's close some chapters.
This, my friends, is a conversation that I had for this other deal that also closed on March 29th. March 29th, 2019 must have been a lucky day for me because I had 3 individual closings all on the same day, 3 different clients. Might be normal to have 2 closings with one client where we closed one and they bought another one the same day. But this is 3 separate clients. And we've already talked about one of them. We talked about our buddy that made it up to Alaska. And this is my next client that said, hey, Brittney, so there's this house. And if I can purchase this house, then I want to sell my house. And if I cannot purchase this house, then we have no reason to move, which is reasonable, right? Sometimes we have that particular thing that we have our eye on. And in this case, this is a house that had 2 acres, it had an in-ground pool, and it had friends nearby. Like legitimately, it's like a 1-road neighborhood and they have friends on this road and this is where they wanted to be. So it was, if we can make it happen, that's great. If not, then I don't really want to sell my house. I can understand that. Here's the caveat. This house that they wanted so badly was already under contract. So that's just to make things a little bit more interesting. Typically speaking, most agents and buyers alike will really write off a property if it's already under contract. Typically, there's not much opportunity there, and you're just getting yourself excited just to be let down, and people will steer away from that. This was a really good lesson that if it has a true meaning to you, if there's really true interest there, then follow through with your gut and at least check it out and see. And know that you may get a no, and that's all right. But you never know until you try. So sure enough, I called the agent that had this property listed and under contract, and I said, hey, my people, this is like their spot, the place that they want to be for forever and a day. We would love to be able to see it. I know you have it under contract. We take a look. She said, sure. It's not done deal until it's signed and done. So she let us go take a look at it, and sure enough, they loved the property. It was really good. It fit all of their needs and they wanted it. So I called the agent back and said, hey, we're loving it. We want this property. Is there an opportunity? Do you feel like the deal that you have right now is solid? And she said, there's one problem with the deal that we have right now, and that's the closing date. My sellers need it to be able to close by X date in order for them to do what they need to do. So if you can give me a contract with a closing date that closes before this date, then I have a deal for you. So we went to the drawing table and said, okay, what can we do? Now, here's the benefit. The house that was owned was only in one of their names. The other one had not purchased a home before. And we were able to make it where that person could qualify for the loan, and both of them were on it. But because of that, the previous mortgage did not hold them back. Normally speaking, if we already have a mortgage, we usually don't have enough income to carry another mortgage. Our debt to income ratio would be too high. And we would typically have to it rented out or sell it in order to compensate for that mortgage. We are in a position where it's either you can do this or you can't. This is your opportunity. So we were very blessed and lucky that one of the parties was able to get a loan and they were able to close before they sold. Now, we simultaneously had the house on the market as soon as we got under contract, but this is like really neat because like it's not a normal scenario where typically we're able to do that. A lot of times we have a sale contingency and that really can bust things up a lot. So this is all goes to say that sometimes it's really cool to be creative. And as much as when we're in a relationship with someone or you have our spouse, right? They had 2 children together. They've been together for a very long time. But sometimes it can make sense, let's say, to like divide and conquer. So in my instance, and a lot of times with military, it's very common that just the military spouse, like just the military member is the one holding the loan. Sometimes the spouse will be on the deed, but a lot of times we won't be on the mortgage because honestly, we could probably pull it down more than we could help if we're not bringing in an additional income, if our credit is not pristine, whatever the case may be. But it can also help us in the future, say things that switch, and then I'm able to be the primary and I can get a mortgage on my own, then sometimes that can help us if we're in a pickle and it's like this weird scenario of what do we do? Like we want to buy a house, we don't want to get rid of this house, we want to turn it into this, and that won't help us qualify for that. So sometimes it can be really interesting the ways that we can handle things. And I say all that to say just there's such a common thing where it's, no, we're married, we need to do this together. And if that's what you believe, then 100% go for it. But sometimes it is truly okay to differentiate the debt and who qualifies for what. So just food for thought. I don't think that was this natural scenario. I think one party had plans and purchased the home and had the home when they got together, but they've been together for a long time and could have both been on there just the same. But in this case, one got the loan. We were able to close the deal March 29th, 2019. And I told you guys, this is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, a huge attached garage, and then the pool with a pool house behind on 2 acres. They spent $237,000 on this property. This property now is probably worth $350,000, $400,000 any day, just because of the acreage alone. So what a steal. But we closed this one March 29th, and then in April, almost a month to the day. So by the time we were getting this one closed, we had their house under contract, and it closed a month later in April. So what a cool opportunity, just because we picked up the phone and said, I know this is really weird, and normally I wouldn't ask this, but could we see the property? Do we have an opportunity? Oh, by the way, we are a hurdle after hurdle. And yet we still got it done. We could have had a sale contingency. We had a property to sell. If we couldn't buy this house, there was no reason to sell the property. Therefore, we did not have the property on the market before we put in an offer on this house. So many things that would typically normally be like a no-go, and all the stars align. So all that to say, if the property is made for you, if it is meant to be, it will be, as they say. Anyhow, I hope this is like eye-opening to show you like you don't have to be in a straight and narrow path all the time for things to just fall into place. Sometimes when life is ready for you, everything just happens. And it's not to say that it's going to be easy peasy, right? We had to think a little bit and figure things out and play with the lender and figure out like, what could we do? What were our options? Did we have equity that we could pull out of the house and be okay to go ahead and close early? And it just worked out this way that we were able to have a full loan approval with just one of the members of the party. And that saved us in this scenario. So always be creative, always be thinking, and never accept no until you actually hear no. Once again, all too often, buyers and agents alike, we tend to shy away from houses that are already under contract. Houses are not sold until they're sold. And that's all there is to it. Houses fall out of contract every day, all the time. So it never hurts to pick up the phone and just say, hey, is this deal solid? Do you feel like we would be wasting our time if we go see the property? Or does your gut say things are feeling a little off? Or there's a term that the seller really needs that's not being met in this current contract. Now, there's some differences there. There's some legality and timing and everything thereof. So don't take that as like people can get in and out of contracts willy-nilly, because you can't. So that's definitely not the case. But this was like, it had just got under contract. It was still in the contingency period. And it was the only offer that they had at the time. So they took it. And that also goes to speak that money is not everything, too, right? That wasn't the term that they needed. The term they needed was time. That is how we got this house. It's because we were willing to make the time contingency work on the seller's behalf. So, lots of reminders here. Pending is not sold. Money is not king all the time. There are so many different scenarios that go in and out of all of these situations for real estate. So anyhow, happy shopping, happy selling. Remember, there's always options on the table, and don't take no until you actually hear no. Now, I'm going to put a little caveat in here. There are so many times that people get really stuck on that property, and when they hear no, they are crushed, and it just makes it so they just don't want to do anything at all. Nothing's ever going to compare. Friends, you gotta be resilient. You gotta be able to hop back up there and keep looking. Just because you got a no doesn't mean there's not a property that is perfect for you at this phase of life. Life has a funny way of guiding us, right? So, just to say, just because you hear a no doesn't mean you're done. And it doesn't mean you should get stuck. You can move forward. But also, don't tell yourself no without actually hearing no from the right parties. I hope that this is eye-opening to you, and I can't wait to tell you more about my transactions in 2019. Like I said, we had 3 on March 29th, 2019, so that means we have another one cooking. Can't wait to bring it back to you soon.